Okay, hello, Professor. You can't tell, but in the background here, I'm in an office at the Joint Council for Economic Opportunity of Clinton and Franklin counties in Plattsburgh, New York. JCEO is a nonprofit organization helping two of the most northern counties in New York by providing food services, energy services, Head Start services, child care resources, and a senior outreach program. These aren't all of their programs, but you can get an idea from that of the broad scope that they do to help out people in all facets of their lives. Their mission statement reads, JCEO is dedicated to providing resources and services that enhance people's dignity and self-reliance. I've had some business dealings with them in the past in selling them some of their fleet trucks they use for their home weatherization program. However, the reason I'm so familiar with this organization is my father, Bruce Garcia, is the executive director. He's been the ED now for 8 years and has been employed in community action for nearly 40. So when I pause this and when I pick this back up, I'll be inside talking with him, and we're going to have a chat about the organization and some of the different challenges they face in regards to what we are talking about this week. Okay, so I swung the computer around and now I'm here with my father, Bruce Garcia. And Dad, I already told them you are the executive director and gave them a brief overview of what JCEO does. I guess as long as you're ready, we can jump right into what we need to talk about today. And hopefully it leads me to a pretty good grade. So this week we're learning about non-profit agencies and how their competition or competitor set is different from profit organizations. So how does JCEO measure its performance? A profit organization can quantify the results by the numbers, but your performance can't be based on that for everything you do. So can you explain to us how JCEO goes about measuring that performance? And to add to that, how does it differ being that JCEO has so many things they're involved in?
Actually, it's not a whole lot different than a business. When you look at a not-for-profit, there's really two sides to the equation. One is based upon the programs that we operate and how well those programs function, and the second is on the business side of the equation. You know, how are we doing financially? You know, what's our cash reserves? All those kinds of issues. So on a program side, in community action, which is obviously the type of organization that we have, we do a lot of reporting on statistics and based upon what's called results-oriented management and accountability. There's national standards that have to be met, and what we do is we keep track of the end result with all of our consumers. So really what we're looking at, and we'll take an example through our community outreach program. One of the biggest standards that we have there is working with people that are in emergency situations. You know, you might have somebody who's received a shut-off notice and for their electric. So we provide assistance to make sure that their electric stays on. You might have somebody who is facing an eviction, and we provide financial assistance to keep that family housed. What we report on is the service that we provided and what the end result is. So, quite frankly, from that perspective, we're really reporting on all of our programs on what the outcomes were. You know, how did that consumer fare when we were done? Mm-hmm. So we do that on a routine basis. On the business side, it's entirely different. There are certain things that we want to make sure of. Most people don't think about not-for-profits making money, but obviously we have to.
Right.
So, you know, there are, you know, obviously we go through a major audit every year. The results of that audit are something that all of our funding sources look at. They want to know that our management, our financial systems are in place. They want to make sure that, you know, that we are functioning well as an organization and all of those things. So, and And then all of our funding sources routinely do reviews and look at our financial situation and make sure that we are in fact a viable organization.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. Dad, thank you for that answer. I also need to ask you about your competition, your competitors. Some people may not think that that nonprofits have competition, but you do. So how do you develop your customer insight? Specifically, how do you understand your current competitors and position JCEO for future success?
That's probably one of the areas where not-for-profits differ the most from for-profits. In our world, one of the things that we try to do is we try to make sure that we are positioned within the community to have good relationships with other not-for-profits. I think that part of that means that, for example, our management team between Clinton and Franklin County serves on more than 50 boards of directors and advisory committees for other not-for-profits within our two-county region. And that's not just me, it's our whole management team. Part of what we do in that case is we build relationships with those other organizations. And very often, we end up with doing a memorandum of agreement or a memorandum of understanding with other agencies. There are certain things that we do better than some agencies, and there are things that they do better than us. So we'll sign a memorandum of agreement, and then we form a cooperative relationship. Probably the best example I can give you of that is the fact that 4 years ago, when we moved into Franklin County, when the Community Action Agency up there closed, one of the very first things that we did was we identified a not-for-profit in Franklin County that was influential in the community, and we immediately started to build a relationship with them. And because we knew that it was going to help us be accepted in Franklin County, it was going to help us from the standpoint of the programs that we operated up there. And very early on, we signed cooperative agreements with them. There are programs that we run for them that they pay us for, and there are services that they provide to us that we pay them for. So it's really about building relationships, recognizing the things that you do well and what other organizations do well, and then really trying to mesh the organizations and making sure that you're both maximizing your abilities.
Okay. Okay, thanks again for that answer. And just going to wrap it up here with one last question. And I've heard you say this numerous times, that you love what you do for work. And the whole organization to you is like a family. And I've seen that interaction with you and the other employees here. So I got to assume that the family atmosphere must play a success in the part of this organization. So how do you kind of foster that culture here, and do you feel that each employee buys into what JCEO's mission is?
Well, I think for the most part, our employees, buy in. Being realistic about it, JCEO employs 152 full-time staff and about another 30 part-time staff. So we're talking about 180 staff members. Overwhelmingly, I believe that they buy into the mission, and they're committed to what they do. Now, from the standpoint of the organization, there's several things that we do to make sure that people enjoy coming to work. I think we have a pretty relaxed atmosphere. I try to know everybody as much as possible. I mean, because of the fact that we're so spread out, there are, I only get to see some staff maybe 2 or 3 times a year. But we have a culture here that says that we want this to be a good place to work. We want people to come to work and feel comfortable. We want them to come to work knowing that that they have support. We've done a lot of different things. We, a few years ago, established a Quality of Work-Life Committee. And that Quality of Work-Life Committee is specifically designed to give feedback to management about things that employees want that they think will make the workforce, the work environment better. So we concentrate on that. We have at least 4 meetings a year where we bring in people that are that train staff and are motivational speakers. If you were to walk around the office now, you'd see some doors covered in green, and that's based upon a motivational speaker that we had a few months ago. And we've now charged our Quality of Work Life Committee to come up with a theme around what he classified as Go Green. And so we're working on that. And the other thing is, I think it starts basically with me. You know, I don't think anybody here has ever heard me raise my voice, and there's a reason for that. Because if you're hollering at people or you're walking around and you're wild and crazy, that generally rubs off on people. There has to be a solid, steady environment. It has to be an environment where people know what to expect. They know that the environment is one that is conducive to them doing their jobs, that they don't have to worry about, erratic behavior. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but it really is about creating an atmosphere where people can be comfortable, relaxed, and do their job. And even when you have to work with somebody who might not be doing their job, doesn't mean that you have to be kind of wild and crazy about it. There's a way of doing it, and we work very hard at making sure that that's the case. And quite frankly, I counsel all our senior managers on that all the time. They have to create an environment that is conducive for people to get their jobs done and to be comfortable being here.
Great. And I think the grandkids could probably attest to that too, because there's not many rules at their house. So I just want to say thanks to my dad. I'll finish wrapping it up in the paper that I submit. Thank you. I think if I hit that,